for it.
Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. No matter where in the world you are, it's the one and only V, the Guerrilla Economist, coming to you live with my main man, CJ, aka El Cuco, working the airwaves, making sure this broadcast is coming out crispy and clean. You know what I mean? We have a very special guest to you today. We have the one and only Sasha Hodder. And if you don't know who Sasha Hodder, if you don't know who Sasha Hodder is, she's good friends with our friend Tatiana Moroz, and she works in everything blockchain. Sasha's an attorney at the World Block Legal, where she's focused on fintech sector. She began her work in the virtual currency arena in 2014 and helps clients navigate the cumbersome regulations surrounding cryptocurrencies. She's also the host of the Hodlcast podcast. Sasha is starting a career. She's a Series 7 licensed trader with TD Ameritrade. And she gained ground level perspectives on the equities market, the intricacies of global economics, and she spent a number of years working as vice president of sales for NEI Investments, Canada's leader in socially responsible investing. With that being said, Sasha, welcome aboard.
Hi, great to be here. Thank you.
Well, it's exciting having you. I guess what are you up to? Tell us all the things that you got your hands that you're into, and how you got. What brought you into this? What got you attracted to cryptocurrencies, blockchain, the amazing changes that are happening on? I mean, it really is a revolution, huh?
I initially got involved. Well, So I was working in banking through the whole 2008 crisis and just got really kind of disgusted with the industry. Disgusted might be a little harsh of a word.
You can be honest. It could be either harsh or it could be a very bad.
And I wasn't able to really make any changes there or whatnot. And I just kind of got sick of, I was on a sales side, I was working in sales for a mutual fund company, and I was good at sales, but I had no control over what the actual fund managers were investing in. And then, so I'd be a lot of the time just talking about to people saying, oh, just keep holding your investment. It's going to go up over time, but not knowing for it would or not. So I thought maybe moving into the legal side would give me a little, and I was traveling all the time too, and I got really sick of that. So I thought, it might be nice just to sit in an office, have the clients come to me, and maybe be able to make more of an impact helping them in whatever the situation is. I'm from Canada, and I was working in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, and then also in the eastern 4 provinces, traveling all the time. And I was dying to get near some palm trees. So Florida, and hopefully going to be able to stay here. But then how I got into crypto, sorry, that was kind of a long answer. But I heard about it first on Joe Rogan's podcast when he had Andreas Antonopoulos on, and I thought it sounded amazing. And then I thought I could use Bitcoin to transfer money between Canada and America. It was really cool with student loans, trying to get the money from the Canadian banks into the American banks. And at the time, it wasn't set up. I couldn't do it for that. Canada banks didn't link up to the side. So I started working for an ATM company. I just put an ad out for freelance work, and this guy, Eric Grill, contacted me from Coin Outlet, and I started working as his compliance officer, or sort of just, it was a whatever needed to get done kind of thing, as that company was growing. So got to learn all about the, state by state money transmission rules. And there was another employee there who has become a really good friend, Adela Toulon. And so she kind of helped me get more ingrained into the community. She actually introduced me to Tatiana as well. So kind of all has moved from there.
There you go. That's awesome. Now, your current firm that you're working with, you said you help companies. Can you describe for us, especially in our audience, we have a lot of people that are getting into crypto. Some people who are starting crypto companies on their own. When you say you help companies, how do you go about helping them? Go for it.
Well, it depends what each company is doing. It's a small firm, like there's just 3 attorneys that are working there. So, and we have 3 law clerks. So 6 of us in total now, which has grown, we just started the firm in February and already it's expanding quickly. But, and our website we need to add the new people on there. But depending on the project, we'll do, a lot of time it's forming their company, helping them draft their white paper if they're doing either whether they're starting a new coin, if they're going to mine it, or do an ICO, or even just drafting contracts for advisor agreements, or working, whatever kind of contracts they need. If it's like an ATM company and they need to put the machines in certain locations, I'll draft those. And then on the compliance side, I've found quite a need in writing AML policies for people. So I've been writing that and registering them with FinCEN or for the money transmission licenses as needed. And kind of whatever just comes up with each person.
Absolutely. Sasha, let me ask you this. What's your current take and outlook on all the regulations that are ahead as it relates to this industry?
I think I wish there were just no regulations, but if there weren't, I probably wouldn't have a job either. But it sucks for all these companies because it's really hindering what they can do. And I'm seeing a lot of people, like I'm becoming I'm registering a lot of people in Nevis or Estonia for their companies rather than doing it. Oh, but Wyoming has been great. That's a state that we're really exploring being able to do a utility token there. And they've got this thing where you can start a company and let other people, it's almost like getting e-residency in Wyoming so they can invest in the utility token without going through all the accredited investor stuff. So we're walking through those steps right now, actually we're about to start discussions with Caitlin Long on the best approach to do that for one of my projects. So I'm excited to see if we can make that work, it'll be really good. But yeah, I think all the ICOs are pretty much, other than that, I'm treating them already as if they're under the securities laws. So doing Regulation D and Regulation S. I'm not messing with just doing a regular utility token anywhere except Wyoming. And even on the international side, like I'm making my clients follow the full Regulation S rules, which requires a 1-year lock-in there too. So it's not fun for the ICO side.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention Wyoming. Yeah, some of our projects we decided to go with Wyoming because of that. They're more crypto friendly. Yeah, it's one of those states. I think as things move forward, I think more and more entrepreneurs will start realizing, hey, they want to go to a place where they're treated best and treated fairly. And you're right. I mean, you got some stifling regulations or the fear of stifling regulations. And what happens? It's like Gresham's law, but for cryptos, it's going to go where, money goes where it's treated well. And, I have a background somewhat in offshoring. I used to offshore a lot of my clients for banking needs and things of that sort back in the days. And it's getting very difficult, even with the laws like FATCA. Now we're worrying about how FATCA is going to be applied for cryptocurrencies, and what a hassle! What a hassle!
Yeah, for considering what Bitcoin was started for, it's it's become a big mess around it when it was supposed to be just something easy that goes unregulated, basically. And I guess if we had left the market alone with just Bitcoin, it probably would still be under the radar. But this past year or 2 years, with all the excitement of these alternative coins, and I mean, a lot of people I know that I'm in Telegram with a lot of these Bitcoin maximalists, and they say everything that's not Bitcoin is a complete scam. And I kind of see I see their point, but I also see that there's a lot of good economic growth that's been spurred by all of this development too. So, I'm just excited to see where it all goes, I guess.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Your podcast, your shows, how can fans learn about it? And how did you get into the whole podcasting app? I mean, the whole podcasting.
Well, it's just kind of an experiment for me, I guess. there's some good information out there on the laws, but a lot of times, you know, a new client will come in and I have to start research from scratch on whatever their question is. Just thought I would try and, you know, either by writing blogs and then making podcasts about it, I would learn a deeper level of understanding myself as I was going, and maybe help other people that are, you know, coming up trying to learn this stuff as well. So that was kind of the goal of it. I'm not great at speaking, I find I stutter on them, or I get nervous when I'm doing them.
Don't be nervous. It's just us.
So I was listening to the one with Tatiana, and she's just, you know, so graceful and eloquent in the way she speaks. So I guess, you know, only practice makes perfect. So maybe in a year or two of doing them, I'll get better. But
oh yeah, absolutely. Just you know what you best practice is just come on shows like this and just like random, you know, just rapid fire right off the, you know, shoot from the hip, you know.
Yeah,
great way to shake things off. I mean, this will go out to our network of 3.2 to 4 million people. So that's
great, yeah.
No, don't be nervous. No pressure. No pressure. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So let me ask you this: future cryptocurrencies. What are some of the exciting projects that you can talk about, or some of the things that are on the horizon that you're really excited about? Maybe some coins. Maybe it's a project. Maybe it's a token, like or a technology or a company. What's on your radar?
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things that I get introduced to every day. But one thing I'm seeing is a big hole in the industry that we're trying to kind of fill is escrow services for big transactions. So for people trying to enter the market globally, there's not an easy way to get in and buy or sell. So I've been trying to help a few people with these big transactions, and it's taking a long time and going nowhere because the buyers and the sellers won't come together and trust each other even enough to give their KYC information out. So I think, some kind of trusted escrow service for that. And I know there's a few out there, but I think that's one area that really needs development. And then from a technology perspective, one of my, I don't want to say I have favorites in my clients or anything, but I have this group that I really like the project. They're doing artificial intelligence with medical imaging, and it's two doctors from California. So as soon as anyone would think, ICO or scam, if they take one look at these two individuals who are like esteemed professors at, I think it's UCLA, or it's a university, a very well-known university in California, and both well-spoken and, professionals in the radiology field. And so I really like working with them and seeing what can happen with their project. And after reading the white paper a couple months ago, I think they're going to be able to really revolutionize the medical industry across the board in terms of adding a lot of cost savings. Like people can upload their images, say they had a brain scan and it doesn't show everything, then they can put it through this deep neural learning network and it shows far more. Just the image shows anything in there than what currently exists in the typical industry. And normally one of these pictures costs $50 or more for each hospital use. And when they use the artificial intelligence, it costs only like 1 or 2 cents. So things like that, when you hear about it, it's like, okay, this is, it's exciting.
That's awesome. What's your take on some of the FUD, the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt that's going on out there? What's your opinion?
Regulations, or
say again?
Do you mean in terms of regulations, or just
just general everything with the entire industry? I mean, if it's like that disgusting rumor, I think it was a Wall Street Journal. Me and the guys talked about it about 2 hours ago. The Wall Street Journal actually put out last week. Say again?
The one about Ethereum.
Yeah, there were that the CFTC and SEC are going to have a meeting and blah 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 blah. That just, I mean, that's just one example. I mean, the fear in general, and others are thinking that the crypto ride is over, and people are just waiting for Bitcoin to go to $30,000. That's not happening. They're just all upset. What's your take? What's your message to the masses?
I think buy and hold Bitcoin and just wait it out, but don't spend more than you can afford. Like I would encourage the same way that we used to encourage in the mutual fund industry, you know, dollar cost averaging, put some in every 2 weeks. That's what I'm doing on Coinbase. But then as soon as you put it on Coinbase, move it off Coinbase, because for tax purposes, if you want to, I mean, you're supposed to pay tax on all of it, but Coinbase for sure is going to have to report it. So if you buy it and sell it immediately into some anonymous wallet, then there's no, Coinbase counts it as a sale there, and you're not going to have any capital gain, but then you can hold it, and it's safer too if you hold it in your cold storage. So I think that's the best thing people can do right now. I mean, if you want to be like the ICOs and everything turn out. So it's kind of exciting sometimes if you hit one that gets a giant gain. I know it's not an ICO, but I bought Raven Coin a little while ago, and it's up like crazy. Like I bought it for $0.01 and now it's at 8 cents. So wow. Things like that. And this silly thing called bitcoins.com. Have you heard of it?
Bitcoin?
It's a counterparty, but it's also 100%, more than 100%. Like I spent $800 to buy this thing called a crop. So they have a good idea of a utility compared to, it's not just a trading thing, it's an actual game. It's on the same system where the Tatiana coin was launched. And it's just a Telegram chat group, but you go in there and they harvest corn for your farm every quarter, and it's crazy in value.
Oh wow, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So Sasha, so if people want to get a hold of you, tell us about how they can contact your work, your company, your public, your social media. How do people get in contact with you, especially with if they, again, this is an innovative new industry. People want to get in, people want to get working, people want to create concepts. How do they get a hold of you?
Well, on my website there, the contact us for the World Block Legal, that'll give an email to our info email, and then both myself and my partner get that. And then also I have my own website, like on Twitter, you can message me, or I'm in Telegram a lot. That's probably one of my main places that I chat with people. But my email address also works, sasha@worldblocklegal.io.
Fantastic.
LinkedIn too.
Closing comments, Sasha. What's your closing comment? What do you got to say to everybody that's listening in, tuning into you?
Regulations do exist in the space. I don't want to add to the FUD, but I do think it's prudent to be careful when you're doing your ICOs. You can do either the registered crowdfunding. If you're in America, you can do the registered crowdfunding, and you can have a limit of $1 million that you can raise from non-accredited investors. That's one avenue. Another avenue would be to limit it to accredited investors and follow Regulation D 506C and Regulation S. And with that option, you have to lock your tokens up for a year and make sure you're using accredited investors. Or you can look at that Wyoming utility option I think there's the best way to learn more about that Wyoming rules is to come in the Telegram Wyoming Coalition group, and in there Caitlin Long is in there. There's a guy Tony Rose, Rob Jennings, and they're always posting the newest kind of regulations, and they're very supportive and trying to encourage companies to come to that state and interact with them and use the new laws, like put them to the test. And so those are kind of the main avenues I'm going, or going offshore. But until we get some kind of clarity here, it's not safe to do an ICO in America without following one of those avenues, I don't think.
Very well said. Very well said. Sasha, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for sharing your work, your expertise, your advice, and your experience with us. We look forward to having you on again, because you're definitely a wellspring of knowledge, especially with keeping up to date on all these regulations and what's going on in the legal thing. You're like the emissary, the conciliary that we need to navigate these challenging times that are ahead. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. Take it away, CJ.